POV Italian Cooking in association with Simply Good Food TV, where today we're going to make limoncello meringue cookies. Before we get started, just take one quick second and click that subscribe button in YouTube and ring the bell so you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video, and download the Simply Good Food TV app. About a month or so ago, I did a video where I made limoncello. And we've been enjoying that limoncello. Actually, I'm making a second batch, but I've shared a few bottles with some friends and family. We enjoy a shot of limoncello a couple nights a week. But I just absolutely love the flavor of limoncello. Every now and then I'll sit on my couch with a notebook and I'll jot down some notes, maybe some ideas for future episodes of the cooking demonstration videos or for expedient an ingredient. And I thought to myself, man, it would be really neat to find a way to use the limoncello that I made in another dish. And immediately I thought of meringue cookies, because I've had some great meringue cookies in the past. Never made them before, but I've had some great ones that we bought at the farmer's market or whatever. And I thought, man, the limoncello taste, that flavor would be great in a meringue cookie. For those that aren't familiar with meringue, meringue is made from egg whites that are whipped, and then you add sugar once the egg whites foam up. It can be hard to make, and you're going to see in this video, I learned a real valuable lesson, because this is the first time I've ever made meringue, and I messed it up the first batch I made, but I left it in the video because I think it's really important to show that when you're a home cook and when you're learning like myself, it's okay to mess up. You learn something. I did, and hopefully you guys will learn a little bit about meringue cookies from my mistake, and hopefully you can avoid it. But let's get started. I want to show you these meringue cookies because they're definitely something you're going to want to make. We're going to take a look at the ingredients for our limoncello meringue cookies. I'm excited about making this using my limoncello. But what we're going to start with is 3 eggs. Now we're just going to use the whites, and your eggs really need to be room temperature. 2/3 cup of just regular granulated sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 generous tablespoon of your homemade limoncello. You can see how I made my limoncello in an earlier episode of POV Italian Cooking. Let's get started. First thing we want to do is separate our eggs into our mixer. I'm going to take this beater off just to give me a little bit more hand room here. So what we'll do is no yolk, no joke. Oh, stand there, Mr. Yolk. Get your 3 eggs separated. You want to make sure that you get all of that egg white. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to put our mixer back, or our whisk attachment, not our mixer. This is the mixer. Lock that in, and we're going to put that on medium. And we want to see some foam start to form before we put in any more ingredients. So you can see our eggs are just starting to foam up a little bit. So now what we want to do is sprinkle in our cream of tartar and our salt. Now we're going to pour in our generous 1 tablespoon of our homemade limoncello. And we're going to turn our mixer up to high. We really want the stiff peaks to start to form, so we're going to have to let this go for just a few minutes. Okay, I learned a very valuable lesson. I know all you bakers out there that watched that last segment were going, don't put in the limoncello, don't put in the limoncello. Well, I learned a lesson. You don't put your limoncello in while you're trying to get your meringue going, because that interacts with your egg and it won't work. So what I'm going to do, on attempt number 2, we're going to get our eggs going here, get them a little bit foamy. And then we'll put in our salt and our cream of tartar, again, a 1/4 teaspoon of each. Once those start to foam up, the cream of tartar, really what it does is it kind of interacts with the eggs and helps the eggs, the peaks from the eggs stiffen and hold those peaks. So, all right, that's starting to get a little bit foamy. So we'll add in our cream of tartar and our salt. We're going to turn this on high and let it go for 7 minutes. So it's starting to get foamy, so what I'm going to do now is slowly sprinkle in my sugar I don't want to pour it all in or it's going to interact and knock my peaks down. You just slowly pour that sugar in. And now we're going to let that go on high for 7 minutes. Now it's been 7 minutes and my mixer's been working away. So let's get it turned off here. And let's see if we got nice stiff peaks. The way you can tell, so I'm told, is if you can turn it upside down and it holds its shape, like so, then you can call those stiff peaks. Do it the redneck way. Alright, put that there. Now what we want to do, now we want to add our limoncello and fold it in. So what we're going to do is use 1 generous tablespoon of our homemade limoncello that you can see in a previous episode. Now I said 1 generous, we're going to go about 1.5. That's being very generous. And we're just going to slowly fold that into our meringue. You just got to keep doing folds because we want those stiff peaks to hold. And if I just get in there and stir, then I'm going to take all the air out of it. Make sure we got that all mixed in there. Looks like we do. I'll tell you what, we can smell the limoncello, that's for sure. Now, a little trick. We're going to use a piping bag. What I've done is I've taken a piping bag and kind of put it down in a cup. That way it makes it a little bit easier. Let me get my lid on my limoncello because I just have a feeling that I'm going to knock this off and I don't want to do that. So I've got my cup here with my piping bag in it. Just going to take my meringue and put it down in there. Force it down in that cup. Wow, look at that. Wacal is a technical term, by the way. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I have a kind of like a star bit on my piping bag here. I'm trying to pull this up and around so I don't make too much of a mess. Yeah, already failed at doing that. All right. Looks like we're going to be all right. Now, let me get this cup out of the way. So what I have here is a large baking sheet lined with parchment paper. And all we're going to do, this is the first time I've done this, so we're going to see how we do here. Look at that. That's not too bad. We're just going to make cookies. Oh, inch, inch and a half, 2 inches. Don't want them to touch. I'm sure there's a little bit better, right? I'm not much of a baker. I don't decorate stuff. I don't have an artistic eye. So I'm just doing the best I can. You bakers out there, I'm sure are thinking, oh my gosh, why isn't he doing this technique? The blah, blah, blah technique. Well, that's because I don't know that technique. The technique I know is I like to cook, I like to bake, I like to eat. So that's my technique. So what I'm going to do is cover my baking sheet with cookies. Oh, trying to make them the same size and failing at that miserably. But that's okay. So I've got all my cookies out here on my baking sheet. Got just enough for a couple more here. Do them real quick. These last row's a little bit smaller. That's going to be all right. All right. Here we go. These go in the oven at 250 degrees for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, turn your oven off. Don't open the door, just turn your oven off and let them set in there for 1 hour. So I'm gonna throw these in the oven, and when they're done, we'll be back. So my limoncello meringue cookies, you know, they spent 45 minutes at 250 degrees, and then another hour in the oven with the oven just turned off after that. And then they've set out and cooled. They're ready to try. A little sticky still. But man, I'll tell you what, they look good. I'll tell you what, they feel like a meringue cookie. You know, second time's a charm, as you saw earlier in the video. I was trying to make these.
It's good.
The limoncello flavor comes through.
It's good.
And definitely, you know, the meringue kind of just melts in your mouth and gets that nice gooey chew to it. The limoncello flavor comes through as it melts. Absolutely amazing. Something I'm definitely going to make again now that, you know, I know how to do it. And messed it up once so I could get it right the second time. Highly, highly recommend making these cookies. So with that, do not forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. Most importantly, you want to click that subscribe button in YouTube and then ring the bell so that way you get a notification every time I release a new video. And also, download that Simply Good Food TV app. I'm going to eat the rest of these cookies. So, we'll see you next time, and ciao.